Hi guys! Welcome back to Talk Nasty Me podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Nasty. Welcome me back, baby. Say hello. Say hi. How are you doing? Good to hear. Okay, how am I doing? Well, just listen to the podcast. I've missed you guys. I'm also recording the video version again. So I'm like looking into the little camera and looking at my nice little dewy skin. So please make sure to check out the YouTube page. It's just Talk Nasty to Me podcast so that you can see my glow. I got a new sunscreen. But I'm not going to promote it until I know how it really does work. You know what I mean? Because there have been times where there have been people who have promoted certain sunscreens and then turns out that they are not actually the SPF that they have promised to be, which has been so disappointing and has happened to me before. So I'm just staying on the safe side. Anyway, I'm at my new desk. I'm so happy. I went to Ikea last week. This is part of the story, okay? This is like on my like little bullet points of things to do. We'll start off with like the fun news first before we get into like the not so fun news, which is okay. It's not that big of a deal now, but I got a new desk. It's true. I did. I have been wanting a new desk for the longest time. If you follow me on my Instagram stories, you would see a photo of what my old desk looked like, and it looked like ass. It was tiny. I'm pretty sure it's not even really meant to be a desk. I'm pretty sure it was meant to be one of those things that like you put like they're called catch-alls, I think, like where you put them in like the hallway or like the entrance of a room, like or to like the front door. So you put like your keys on it, whatever else. I feel like it would have served a way better purpose as that. I could barely fit my legs underneath it. It was really disappointing. I hated sitting at the desk so much. So I knew that while I was still living here and working from home, I wanted to get a new desk. And I mean, I'm going to be working from home as long as I'm doing YouTube because it's from home. But what I mean is like while I'm still here, I was like, why am I getting so upset with my desk when I could just literally go out and get a new one? So I ended up getting a dining room table, which was amazing. I wasn't planning on doing this. I had so many different ideas. I thought I was going to build my own desk. Sorry. Also, if you hear my MacBook about to explode, like it sounds like it's like a little rocket ship that's getting ready for flight, there's nothing I can do about it. If you have one, then you know that they just do this. Yeah, I can't help it. So sorry. But this mic is good, so maybe it's picking it up, hopefully. No, so I initially wanted to make my own desk out of wood, and then I was like, I really don't know if anyone's going to help me. Like my stepdad would honestly help me, but working with your parents sometimes on something, it sometimes takes like weeks to months rather than it being like a 2-day type of project and everything. And then I considered buying one from a few different places, but they were like so crazy expensive. I'm talking about like $500. I was like, $500 for a desk? Like for me to just sit at from Urban Outfitters? I don't think so. So I have considered many different things. I've checked my like Goodwills and Salvation Armies. Nothing there. I knew that I needed one that was nice and beefy in width. Mine is currently 31 inches, and so it's a pretty widthy boy. And I decided to go to Ikea, found a dining room table I really loved. I know it sounds stupid, but because of my money guilt and anxiety when it comes to buying things, I talked about my money guilt issues on a whole podcast episode called I Have Money Guilt. And I like could not decide on what to buy. It was getting so bad. There were too many options for me. I literally told my mom, I was like, I need horse flaps. Like I should not be able to see what are all my options. And I eventually decided to go with this one. I go downstairs into the whole, Ikea, what is it called? Like the downstairs area where you like pick up the big furniture. And the woman said that there's one last desk. I was like, okay, right on. And then I go into the clearance section and the desk that I wanted, the dining room table that I wanted is standing there in the clearance section, $70 off. So it's $130. And it was just in the showroom. Like that's the only reason that it was there. It wasn't even returned by like a customer. There's nothing wrong with it. Perfect condition. It just doesn't come in a box and I have to unscrew the legs myself. And I picked that shit up. I immediately ran to the cash register. There were 2 people looking at it, but I got it before they could. And that's how I got my new dining room table for $130. And it's perfect and everything I wanted and more. And it's very big and It's improved my quality of life so much because I no longer hate sitting at my desk anymore. Anyway, great investment. Is that considered an investment? Yeah, whatever. Great purchase. And so I'm so happy about that. If you want to listen to me rant more about my whole IKEA story, because I think it's actually really funny and very insightful, listen to this week's episode of I Saw Your Tweet, Are You Okay, with Jake and I, because I really go in depth about what IKEA means to me and what it should mean to everyone else. And I really like that episode. So, I wanted to give a quick apology for last week's episode. I know Jake said that it was a great episode. I didn't listen back to it because it was like a little bit hard for me to listen back to that episode just because I was like in a really tough place the last week. A lot happened in my life. And I hate being like, I can't talk about it, but it's probably not safe for me to talk about it. So all I'm going to leave you with is that I had a little bit of an Emma Chamberlain, I had to move to LA moment, minus me moving to LA. If you know that whole situation on why she had to move to LA, yeah. So one day I'll talk about it. One day I'll discuss it when I'm no longer living here. But for the time being, I'm not gonna go into it. And I'm sorry. But just know that it was a really tough week for me. And then on top of that, my mom had to get surgery, which she's completely fine. Just had a very busy, captivating week and just had to deal with a lot. So I wasn't really on my A game with, first of all, posting. I was in no place to record a podcast. It was just really hard for me. And I'm feeling so much better now. Things are a lot better, I can promise you that. And so we're back and we're better, baby, and all is going to be well. I genuinely feel it in my little bones. The worst thing about having anxiety is being right about things. Like, anyone who has really bad anxiety can relate to me on that. Like, when people keep telling you that your anxiety is irrational or that it doesn't make sense or that you're overthinking too much or the thing that you're worrying about will never come true. The worst thing is when that thing does come true. That's me. That is me. But I can genuinely say I do feel like things are great from here on out. So, yes. I wanted to make this episode about friendship, because I don't think I've really ever made a podcast episode about that. I made one YouTube video about how to end a friendship, like a friendship endship. I referred to it as that, and now it's on Urban Dictionary, and I fucking love that. No, I have never really done an episode, though, on, like, red flags in friendships, as well as, like, friendships as a whole kind of thing. And I think the reason for that being is that I genuinely have a very good, solid friend group. Like, I feel like the friends that I have most of them are friends that I've had through my entire, I don't want to say through my entire life, for a lot of my life. Okay, like my best friend Kaylee, who she's been in one of my videos. I don't post, well, it was in my David Dobrik video where Kaylee was in it. I deleted my David Dobrik video because I don't want David Dobrik to be on my channel. Like, he wasn't in it, but like the video was centered around him, if that makes sense. But I just have that video as unlisted. But anyway, my point being is that, for example, Kaylee has been in my life since we were in the 8th grade. Like, she's been a friend of mine since the 6th grade, but we've been best friends since the 8th grade. I have friends like my best friend Danielle, who literally was at my baptism as a kid, and we've been really good friends for, oh my God, like over 10 years. And a lot of my friends who I have, like, in my big friend group, which, like, Kaylee is in, Jake is in, like, I've been friends with them since the beginning of high school, even though I met Jake in college. But I have a good, solid core friend group, and I don't think that there's anyone, like, in my circle of friends who I'm, like, iffy about, if that makes sense. Like, you know, sometimes when you just have friendship problems, like, that's just not what I'm experiencing currently. So I didn't think that this was, like, something that was necessary to ever talk about because I don't have much to say, because I genuinely am just so lucky to have such amazing friends in my life. However, I realize that I am sick and tired of ignoring red flags in my life, as well as welcoming in new friends into my life. Because I noticed that I am doing that so heavily, and it's something that I just genuinely want to talk about because it's been on my mind. I don't want anyone to think that this is about like one specific person. Don't go try and finding out who are the people that I'm talking about because you're not going to figure it out. I just wanted to kind of talk about a quote that really stuck with me, as well as patterns that I'm noticing in my life, as well as new friendships that I'm forming and some bad habits that I find myself falling back into. And I feel like some of you can relate, but this was something that I had to like realize about myself. Like it opened my eyes to things that I normally would not think about. And I would like to think of myself as a pretty like in tune with myself kind of person. Like I'm constantly like internalizing things. I'm constantly thinking about the way that I act or the things that I do. Like, what is that word? What is the word for that? Not insightful. I guess very like self-conscious, but not like, what I'm trying to say is that self-aware. Okay. I feel like I'm a very self-aware person in the sense that like I always am analyzing what I do and the things in my life and the people in my life. And I'm not like very oblivious to myself, if that makes sense. Like I don't really have other people in my life telling me like, hey, Nicole, like, have you noticed that this person has been like taking advantage of you? Because if anyone would take advantage of me, I would like notice that immediately. Or like people are not telling me like, hey, Nicole, you've been acting really different recently. Have you noticed that? Like, I wouldn't be one to not notice. I have so much anxiety that I'm constantly overanalyzing every single aspect in my life. Not saying that, like, my friends can't call me out on some stuff, but I finally have analyzed something even deeper because of this quote that I heard. Okay, let's dive in. So, I heard this quote on a TikTok recently, which TikTok is a whole nother thing. I had to log off today because there was literally, people were getting pit. Do you guys know oatmeal TikTok? Like oatmeal TikTok is like a thing. Like literally look up hashtag oatmeal TikTok. It will take you to these people who have these beautiful bowls of oatmeal in these beautiful like wooden bowls and their little wooden spoons, and it's gorgeous, and they're like pretty much like dessert oatmeals, but there's nothing wrong with that. And so many people are angry about dessert oatmeal TikTok, and I had to get off of TikTok for the day because I was like, I literally cannot deal with this. I'm getting like frustrated with people over literal oatmeal. So anyway, I heard a quote on TikTok recently that was, the universe will continue to be giving you people in your life. The universe will continue to give people, the universe will continue to give you people into your life with different, hold on. Now, last time is the charm. The universe will continue to give the same person back into your life, just with different names and different faces, until you learn a lesson. Something along the lines of that. I tried Googling it to find out who said it. I can't find it. So credit to whoever has said that quote, or if it's just something that was made up on TikTok. Anyway, yeah, I heavily agree with this. And once I heard this, I was like, holy shit. Because I noticed that there are some patterns in my friendship, but I never really connected the fact that I needed to learn a lesson to stop having these people in my life. So I'll give an example of this. I was friends with the same person at least 3 different times in my life, but they were all different names and different faces. So I'll give you an example. I had a friend like this when I was in middle school, and every single time, this person always has a friend that is like glued to them. Oh wait, I think I actually did talk about this in my friendship and ship video. I had this friend who, these friends will always have like their best friend. Like it is their best friend, their ride or die, that will never go anywhere. This person, like they are inseparable no matter what. However, that person's always low-key getting like the short end of the stick. Like that person, I almost feel sorry for that person a lot of times because of how they're being treated by this friend. And I'm usually never like that close to this. I don't want to call them the sidekick, but I'm usually never close to this ride or die friend. I'm usually close with the mean one. And the mean one will pick me up and like be like, come on, like you're invited to our friend group. It'll now be like the three of us or so. And basically will make me feel so special because they hate everyone else. So I have to feel really, really special and important that I'm even invited or wanted in this friend group. And I had no idea how awful that was and how much that kind of harmed me growing up until I had to like step back and realize, holy shit, this did some damage. So, for example, I had a friend who would tell me that I am her booty call friend because we were not allowed to post. Well, by we, I mean like she did not allow me to post any photos like on Facebook that we were hanging out or that we were together on these days, because she didn't want people to know that we were hanging out, and that she will only hang out with me if all of her other friends are busy. So I was her booty call friend, and I just accepted it, which is so dumb of me. But at the same time, I feel bad for like 12, 13-year-old me that I allowed someone to treat me like that. And I just feel sorry for younger me, but at the same time, I wish that I could hit her lightly across the face and be like, bitch, don't allow people to talk to you like that or treat you like that. And that was like the first scenario of this until I finally was done and I finally was fed up and I was like, I no longer want this friendship in my life. Well, I ended up having that exact same friendship, just a different face and a different name when I got into high school, where I had this friend who was mean to everyone. This person, like, was my only friend when I got into high school because the way that it worked for, like, my high school is that there's 4 middle schools and 2 high schools. 2 of the high schools would go to one of the high schools. 2 of the middle schools would go to one of the high schools, and 2 of the other middle schools would go to the other high school. That doesn't really give you specifics, but all of my really, really good friends went to the opposing high school, and I basically went to this high school that some of my friends went to, but none of my close friends, like my best friend and I, didn't go to the same high school, which was really hard for me, at least at first, because she was like thriving and loved her high school experience and I did not. But I honestly don't think that I would have thrived at the other one. I'm happy that I went to the one that I did because I made some like amazing friendships, and I'm really happy that I ended up going where I did, but it did really it was really difficult for me. And not only that, but in the freshman wing, because my high school had a freshman wing, there was like basically like 2 or 3 different like sets of teams, I guess, meaning that like you as a student could get placed into one of these teams, and like I don't know how best to describe this. Like all of my teachers were on the top floor, but a lot of my friends from middle school had all their classes on the bottom floor with all the bottom floor teachers. So on top of me being separated from some of my closest friends, I was also separated in terms of classes because I only had like one person who I knew from my middle school go into these like top floor classes with me. And that was really, really difficult for me. The top floor classes didn't mean like top, like in terms of like gifted or honors or AP or any of that. It literally did not relate to that. It was just like they just separated you by what basically would fit best. I didn't really like my teachers, and I also really didn't really like the people in my class, and it was really hard for me that I was not with people who I felt like I could relate with more, people who I could be friends with more, and all the people in my class knew each other and like went to elementary school with one another. And so I was picked up by this one girl, and she was like basically like, we're gonna be friends, you're invited into like our lunch table, you're invited into our like our little clique and everything. She was a mean girl. She was just a mean person, and everyone would tell me that, and I was just like, yeah. And we were never good enough friends like to hang out outside of school or like text. It was just like in school. And I think it made me out to be a bitchier person, to be honest, because I just was around a person with a bad attitude all the time. And same thing with me. She would be mean to me. She would make me really self-conscious. She made me like change my sense of style, how I felt about myself, like my hobbies, my passions. When in reality, she was a very insecure girl herself, but she just masked it really well so that no one would come for her first. And I honestly do feel bad for her because she went through a lot and had a lot of insecurities in her life that she felt like she always had to be on the defense so that no one would talk shit about her first. And we stopped being friends because, well, I won't give away too many details, but she had a boyfriend that hit her, and she broke up with him, but then I found out that they were back together and she was kind of hiding it from me, and I was really, really, really worried for her. And I was talking with another friend about it, like being like, I'm really worried for our friend. And I guess she used that as talking shit, was really pissed at me, and cut me off, and we were never friends again. And that was hard for me for a moment, but then I was kind of relieved because she was a really toxic person. Luckily, I think her and that guy did not last long together after that, so I'm really happy that she got out of that situation, honestly. But that was really hard and like difficult to go through because I just got dropped by a friend for like caring for her, but there was really nothing that I could do. She wanted nothing to do with me. She wouldn't even look my way. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that she's no longer with him. However, it was not someone I was supposed to be friends with. And then it happened again when I got to college. I had a roommate who I thought was going to be a really good friend of mine. I thought was someone that I was going to call a best friend forever. Also had a friend who was, like their ride or die. And as soon as I like stuck up for myself against this person, which I never did because I just always took shit from her, she got really defensive. So did her friend, and just talked badly about me and was just a mean girl. And I noticed this pattern of having these mean girl friends in my life. And when I heard this quote, like different names and different faces, but they were all the same. Like they were all the same person, essentially. They very much similar. And I tried to think to myself, like I was like laying in bed and I was like, why do I feel so heavily connected to these people every single time? Like, why am I constantly drawn to these people who are not nice to me, who are not kind to me, who treat me poorly, who make me feel self-conscious about myself, who make me feel less than, who make me feel like I have to earn hanging out with them, or earn that I can be around them, or earn that I can be considered in their friend group, and constantly I felt like I was being a different version of myself around them, and they never supported what I did. They actually discouraged me doing things that I enjoyed or I liked, and it was a very, like, I felt like embarrassed to be myself around these people. And I realized that the lesson that I needed to learn to stop having these people in my life, because I thought to myself, like, have I had a situation like this? And I realized that I have not had a friend like that in over 3 years now. Like, that has not been a type of person who has been in my life in over 3 years. I'm like, what lesson did I learn? And I think the lesson that I learned is that I no longer need validation from others to like myself. Like, I no longer needed people like this in my life to like who I am as a human being, which I'm very happy about, because I do like myself as a person, which I never thought that I would get to that point, but I probably have right now the most confidence that I've ever had in my whole life. And whenever you use the word confidence, a lot of people think that you're instantly talking about body confidence or physical confidence or like the way that you look. No, I'm talking about in general. Me as a person, I feel like I exude confidence in myself now to a certain point that I don't feel the need that I need other people to validate that for me. I don't want other people's validation, and quite frankly, I don't feel like I'm attracting it anymore, that I need that. And that's quite literally like kind of like what I mean by manifesting good people in your life, and you attract what you put out, essentially. And because I was exuding lack of self-confidence, lack of a sense of self, lack of not really liking myself as a person, people caught on to that, and people leached onto that, and people took advantage of that and wanted to be my mean girlfriend in my life. And that's how I constantly was attracting these types of people with different names and different faces back into my life. So I'm so happy that I learned that lesson. It feels awesome. But I am noticing other patterns in my life because I was like, that can't be the only thing. Like, that can't be the only like type of person that I'm attracting into my life. There has to be something else. So I like tried to dig a little bit deeper that night when I heard this quote. I'm like literally laying in my bed, like contemplating everything, texting a friend about this whole situation. I'm like, I think I just found out something crazy about myself. And then I realized that I am now, current, present day, still to this day, have not learned my lesson. I'm attracting people that instantly give off red flags, who I instantly know that I am not compatible with. These people should not be in my life, that they are not good for me. And I'm consistently attracting them into my life and accepting their friendship and letting them into my life into different extents. So far to the point where it always ends badly. Like, it never ends well. And I was like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? Why am I I am a big advocate for knowing red flags. And I had a relationship where I had a whole video where I talked about like the red flags of an abusive relationship. You would think that me, as a person who now knows the red flags of an abusive relationship, would know the red flags of a bad friendship, but I still do not. I still don't. And I mean, I know of them, but I choose to ignore them. So I was like, Nicole, why do you choose to ignore them? I choose to ignore red flags because I fear that I'm too judgmental. I have been told growing up a lot that I'm too judgmental, or that I have anxiety, so that's the reason why I come to these conclusions so quickly, or I'm just being wrong about someone. I always say to people, I like to think, and I usually don't like when people say this, so it's pretty, what's the word? It's pretty hypocritical for me to say this myself. I like to think that I can read people pretty well. Like, when I meet them, I like to think that I can get a pretty good idea of whether or not this person and I will be compatible, whether or not this person is going to be someone that is right for me in my life. I like to think that I'm a pretty good person that can pick up on red flags. I like to think that I'm a pretty good person to pick up on when someone is lying or when someone is not being truthful about who they are. There have been instances, I hate the way that I'm sounding right now, by the way. I hope that no one thinks that I'm like trying to sound like cocky and like weird about that kind of stuff. This is just, some people have the ability of understanding someone when they meet them sometimes better than others, because some people are like, oh, I don't usually read others well. Like, I have a friend who always tells me, like, when I meet someone off the bat, like, it's like a clean slate. Like, I don't see anything, like, and I have a really hard time picking up on red flags until it's like too late. Me, on the other hand, I notice red flags too quickly. I notice things that I don't like about people a bit too quickly, which then can sometimes, it feels like it can bite me in the ass, because while I think I might be doing something good for myself and protecting protecting others and being like, we should stay away from this person, it makes me feel like a judgy, judgmental, bitchy person. And I don't like to be like that. So something that I've been trying to do lately in my life is to tone that back and be like, Nicole, you're not always right about people. You're not always right when you have a bad feeling about someone or a bad suspicion about someone. Like, that is being judgmental and you need to cut that out. Like, that was a conscious decision I made myself, on top of other people telling me that as well. And on top of that, like I said before, people with anxiety will understand. It sucks when you have anxiety about someone or something and people will tell you like, oh, that's never going to happen. Like, you don't have to worry about that. And then that thing comes true, because then it just validates that worrying within you. It's like if you have intrusive thoughts. Like, I have very terrible, sometimes violent, awful, intrusive thoughts. And because of these intrusive thoughts that I have, if one of them were to come true, if one of these things that I'm so concerned about were to come true, I don't know what I would do. I think I would lose it. Knock on wood, I don't think it's ever happened before, but that's what it feels like when you have these types of friendships. And when you meet these people and when they show you their true colors, and when you felt that this person was going to be a certain way, and then that thing actually does happen, it makes you want to trust your gut more often, which is brings me to my next topic about I should probably learn to trust my gut a bit more, because I don't think that I'm trying to be judgy or I'm trying to be, looking at people in a judgmental way. I think I'm just protecting myself. I think I've met enough people in my life at this point, at 21 years old, that I know when a person is going to be good or bad to me by having a few conversations with them, if that makes sense, or seeing what kind of person that they are. But anyway, I tried to talk myself out of this, and I gave a lot of people in my life these chances even after they gave me red flags. Even after multiple chances, after multiple red flags, I continued to tell myself, Nicole, you're being judgy. This is rude. You shouldn't treat people like this. You need to give people more chances. And it's bit me in the ass. I'll give you, I can think of, I can count on one hand about how many people I'm currently thinking of in terms of this and how it's recently affected me. But I'll give you an example. Hopefully they're not listening. But there was someone in my life who consistently kept popping up. And I kept turning this person down and saying, just coming up with excuses because I had a bad feeling about this person. Every single time that they would talk to me, I would get anxiety. I had this bad feeling in my stomach. It wasn't butterflies of excitement. It was quite literally like my stomach dropping. And I know some people have said this, but this doesn't just count for romantic relationships, but I know that there's been some talks about if you have a nervousness feeling around someone, that's a lot of times it's your body rejecting that person. And I know that some people are not going to agree with me and say, well, I just have social anxiety. That's not really what I'm referring to. My body sometimes, if it's people who I should not be around or people who make me nervous and uncomfortable, I get this weird butterfly feeling in my stomach, and I'm like, oh, I must just be confusing it for butterflies, when in reality it's my body telling me this person's no good for you. I should feel comfortable around those that I love. I should feel comfortable around my friends. I should not feel this sense of nervousness and anxiety every single time I'm about to talk to them or hang out with them or when I get a text from them. That's weird. Around my boyfriend, I feel complete comfort. Around my best friends, I feel complete comfort. I don't get this nauseating feeling when I speak to them. But this person was causing me that. Every single time I even got a text from them, I felt like I was going to puke. And I just kept looking past it, and I was like, you just have social anxiety. You just haven't talked to people during the entire pandemic. No, that was not the case. This person made me feel bad for not giving them attention. This person made me feel bad for not talking to them. And then I finally, gave in, and I was like, man, maybe I'm just a judgmental bitch for not giving this person the time of day. Clearly they just want to be my friend. I don't know why I'm straying away so much. That's kind of messed up of me, because this person didn't give me any reason to make me necessarily really uncomfortable. There were some red flags, but I won't go too deep into them. But for example, this person would sometimes send me messages that would make me uncomfortable, but then I would give an excuse for it, and I'd be like, oh, well, they're just trying to be nice. Or this person would consistently message me late hours of the night, and I would be like, oh, well, this person just works so hard during the day, that's their only time to communicate. These red flags were going off. So I finally gave this person the time of day, and slowly but surely red flags were popping up. Massive red flags. And this whole uncomfortableness feeling, this feeling of throwing up every single time I spoke to this person, it kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I was like, fuck, what is going on? And then they lashed out at me. And then they said some really weird shit to me. And then they started being manipulative. And then I found out that they were using me and taking advantage of me. And I hate being like this. I hate saying stuff like this because I don't ever want it to come off in a weird way or think that I'm better than anyone else ever. That is my last intention. But this person was taking advantage of me for having connections and having, my social media following. And then this person would basically like, I don't know the word for it, but there's like a word. I remember Cody Ko like mentioned it in a video, but it's like where guys will like talk badly about you to you, but like it's in place of flirting where they'll basically like make you feel like shit. I forget the word for it, but if you guys know what it is, just let me know because it's gonna bother me for a while. And it's where they just basically will neg. It's called negging. It's where a person will neg you, make you feel really bad about yourself. But this person, I don't think it was even in like a lighthearted way. This person would literally put me down, tell me that, you know, what I do isn't as serious as what they do, and that it would make me feel like shit for my career essentially, and how hard I work on things, even though this person was using me for my connections and using me for my experiences and for my network, I guess you could say. This person was using me, straight up using me. The signs were all there, but then would talk badly about me so that I didn't suspect that, I guess. And that went on for a little while. And that really affected me for a while because I would think about it a lot, and it really lowered my self-esteem. I felt like I couldn't be my true self. And it got to a point where I was like, I need to just cut this person off. I don't know where my notifications are coming from. I'm so sorry. I suddenly knew I needed to cut this person off. I could no longer have this person in my life, even as just like an acquaintance anymore. This person needed to be wiped and not be in my life whatsoever anymore because of the amount of stress and anxiety they were giving me and how much I felt like shit whenever I spoke to this person. Because that was not a friend. That was just a parasite, a leech essentially. And I don't know why I ignore the red flags. I mean, I do know why, because this person manipulated me and told me that one of the times that this person like exploded on me, basically told me that I'm a shit person for not giving them the time of day before. And it made me feel really bad about myself for a long time. Another example of this is there's someone who I became a fan of. And I thought that, you know, this could become, sorry, I'm making all this noise now. I'm becoming so rowdy on this podcast. I'm like flipping tables, getting notifications left and right. So sorry. There was this person who I thought that I could become friends with, who I was a fan of. And this person talked to me and contacted me, and we had a conversation, and this person just talked down to me the whole time and was very rude to me and made me feel like shit by the end of the conversation. Like, I was so excited to get a notification from this person, and then when we were carrying this conversation, the way that this person was speaking to me, the way that this person was, I keep using the word downplay, but I know that's not the right word that I want to use. This person kept putting me down, I guess you could say. This person kept putting me down. This person kept making me feel like they were more important than me, bigger than me, that I'm just this small little baby child that they could speak poorly to, and that I would just accept it, which I did at the time. And I instantly was like, I have a bad feeling. I just have a bad feeling about this person. And I did have a bad feeling about this person previously, but then I tried to like brush it off because I was like, well, you know what, maybe I'm just being judgmental again. Maybe I'm just being the judgmental person that I was before. And then this person talked to me, my feelings kind of changed. I was like, oh, well, this person is nice. And then at the end of the conversation, they were like rude again. I was like, am I going crazy for like switching up like how I feel about this person because I can't get a good grasp on how I actually feel? Because on one hand, I'm like, I'm trying to trust my gut and get my first impression of this person. It's not so good, but then this person's talking to me and like, that's cool that they're even giving me attention. And then at the end of the conversation, I'm like, what the heck? This person is like kind of rude and exactly kind of like what I anticipated. Anyway, I ended up having to unfollow this person on social media because they are not who they claim that they are, or they are not the type of person that they are. with good intentions, or not a nice person, just not nice. And it makes me so sad because I want to be making friends. And it sucks that recently it's now happened to me. Like I said, like I can count on my hand how many times it's happened to me within like the last year of me trying to become friends with people who I instantly see red flags about, but I'm trying to ignore it because I can't read myself well enough to know whether it's anxiety or if I'm being judgmental or if I'm actually should be trusting my gut because my innards are telling me this person is bad news, don't listen. And that's tough because what if a person does come into my life and they are a really, really good person, but because of like my anxiety is the reason why I'm like, no, don't become friends with this person. Like, no, they're bad news. And they could actually be a great person. I'm turning down an amazing friendship. Or like, what if I do become friends with this person and my gut is telling me like, no, Nicole, you shouldn't become friends with this person. This person is bad news. Here's all the red flags that you should not ignore. But I still go through with it because I'm like, I've ruined so many friendships because, does that make sense? I just feel like I'm stuck in this limbo of, oh my God, anxiety is kind of ruling me. I don't know if it's judgmentalness. I don't know if it's my gut talking to me. I don't know what it is sometimes. Is it anxiety? Is it judgment? Or is it my gut? I don't know. And it's becoming more and more difficult. But once again, I feel like I'm getting more people in my life with different names and different faces that are continuing to pop back into my life. And showing me all these red flags, showing me these signs of being a not so good person. And I need to do something about it. Like, I need to change that because I can't keep letting this happen to me. And so I think what would be best for me to stop letting my vision get blurry or, stop allowing people who I'm not compatible with into my life and allow them to suck me dry of who I am as a human being, is to actually get more in tune with myself and to focus on myself a bit more. Because while, COVID restrictions are like lifting in the sense that like I'm a fully vaccinated lady, I was able to go out and like socially distant, get lunch with a friend the other day. While I'm able to do those kinds of things, I do feel the need to be more social in my life. I do feel the need to make more friends, and have fun with them and meet new people in different places or where I potentially, I plan on moving. Like, I would like to make new friends and everything. And I think what I need to do in this time is to actually focus more on myself because I have great friends around me. I have a great group of friends surrounding me. I'm not like actively like, I need to get all new friends. Like, my friends are bad. No, my friends are amazing. I think I should focus right now on having the friendships that I do have and growing them and making them stronger rather than trying to meet all these new people and ending up hurting myself, because I think I'm not in tune with myself enough to the point where I'm allowing these people to make me a bit more malleable. By that I mean, every single time that I talk to one of these people who show me all these red flags, and for example, like the person who was not so nice in my DMs, and just putting me down, I became like a different person in the DMs. I became like not myself, not as confident, felt like I was a small little baby child because I was allowing them to make me feel like small little baby child. And I think that's because I'm not confident in myself, even though I think I am, but clearly not enough because I'm still allowing people to try and for me like I'm their little Play-Doh, if that makes sense. And that's not okay. Or like the person I was talking about previously, I promise if you heard that on the mic, that was not a toot. That was a truck on my street. Anyway, like I was saying, the person who was like being really, really rude to me before and would like say awful things to me and was showing a lot of red flags and making me feel bad for not giving them the time of day. This person made me feel like embarrassed for what I did with my life and how I was as a person, made me question my life decisions, simply because I allowed them to. And that was my own fault because I should have stood my ground and been like, nobody can talk to me this way. No one can put me down in this way. No one can make me feel like small little baby person. And I think that applies with everyone going forward. I should not change my personality depending on who I'm around. I should not change how I want to be perceived by depending on who it is. If it's not a friend that I can genuinely be my absolute self around, then I should not be friends with them. Because there are some certain people that I have met in the last year, like online, amazing people, have been nothing but kind to me and wonderful to me and make me feel so comfortable with me being myself. And I need more of those people in my life. I shouldn't even say I need more of those people in my life. I should nurture those friendships more in my life. I should value those friendships more in my life. Because I have a great group of amazing people and plenty of them, but I think I should focus more on caring and nurturing for those people. And if there are going to be any new people in my life, making sure that I feel my most comfortable and best self around them. And if they don't make me feel like my most comfortable and best self around them, then they're just simply not the person for me. And I hope that they find friends who make them feel like their best version of themselves, but I don't like feeling like I'm this stepping stone or this something that can be used. That's a sucky feeling, and it doesn't feel good. So I hope that none of you can relate to this because it sucks to feel. And like I said, please don't try and find out who these people are. There's no way that you're going to find out who these people are, I assure you. And this isn't even to like talk shit about them. This was more so to help you guys out if you guys are feeling similarly, because I know, especially with us going, whether you're going back to school or whether you're going back to your jobs now that you're vaccinated or whatever it is, you meeting new people or dating new people or making new friends, or you're moving or you're starting college this fall, you're going to meet so many new people and you're going to meet so many different people who make you feel so many different ways. And I just want to emphasize that you should feel like yourself around these people and feel good when you're around these people. And if you're feeling bad most of the time when you speak to these people, then they're probably not the people for you. And you should not surround yourself with people like that. And it's so crucial that you notice and recognize these types of patterns. Like, if I see a red flag, I should probably try and think a little bit harder on it rather than ruling it off immediately as like anxiety or me being judgy, and maybe being like, no, Nicole, this is your gut. And your gut is telling you that this person isn't good for you, and trying to like analyze that a little bit deeper. Although I know sometimes like when your gut is speaking to you, sometimes there's like no proof or evidence to like back it up. Sometimes it's just like a feeling, but your body works in mysterious ways, okay? Like it just sometimes knows. Like I saw this one TikTok of a girl saying that her cat around her like new boyfriend was just constantly like throwing up in front of this person, like shitting, peeing, like scratching the walls when this guy would come around. And good thing that girl got rid of him because he ended up being like a terrible boyfriend. But animals know when people are good, and your little gut knows too, even though my little gut is a bit damaged. Which, speaking of which, I'm going to the doctor this week. Wish me luck. I'm going to find out more news about my tummy problems. I actually posted last night on TikTok, and somebody wanted me to talk a little bit more about pickled garlic. There's not much to say about it, to be completely honest. I know a lot of people were like, what is this? I'm so confused. My family has been pickling garlic forever. It's just basically you take heads of garlic, you break off like the first few layers of it. You pop them into a jar, you add vinegar, you let them sit for weeks to months. They become soft. They are really, really good for you. It's really good for your stomach. It's really good for your gut. It has very good bacteria in it. Very healthy. I believe it's an antibacterial type of food. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's amazing. It's just full of health benefits. And so we often eat it when we're making like spaghetti or anything that should have like a garlicky taste. And I saw someone on TikTok making it and adding sriracha powder as well as chili powder to it and thyme. I didn't have chili powder for some reason in my house for once, and I didn't have sriracha. So I added gochujang and gochugaru, which I got from my local... I want to say that one of the spices I got from Whole Foods, and then the other one I got from Wegmans. But you can definitely find them around, and it just made it more spicy. Amazing. Great snack. Very good for you. And a lot of people were like, is this not hurting your stomach? No, this actually makes my stomach feel so much better. Pickled food and fermented food does not make me feel bad. I was told by my doctor that I should not be having these things, but I'm getting a second opinion, and finding out what's really wrong with my stomach, because I think I have a good idea, but to be determined. I'll take you guys along this journey because I know a lot of you guys also have tummy issues. I know that might not be so interesting for some of you guys, but definitely interesting to me whenever I hear about people talking about their tummy issues, because I feel like nobody wants to talk about it. Like, we all have problems with our tummy to some extent or another, and if you don't, then you're either a liar or you're blessed. So anyway, I'm going to end this podcast on this note. Protect your peace. Choose your friends wisely. Don't ignore your gut or red flags, and eat a lot of pickled garlic. That's the best advice that I could possibly give. I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in on this little potty this week. And be nice. I'm just trying to think about what I talked about in this episode. I just wanted to say I'm like really happy that I have been doing a lot better mentally with a lot of the things that have been going on in my life, and a lot of your guys' messages and like comments were like lifting me up so much every single day. Like, there was a moment where I was like crying and so sad, and I got like the sweetest comment on a video, and it just made my day exponentially better. So you guys don't know sometimes how much sending a nice comment to someone means. And so I encourage you after this podcast, send like a nice little message to a friend or something, because you never know how much that person may literally need it, whether they are showing it or not. So anyway, not to get sappy, I love you guys. I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Make sure to tune in to this week's episode of I Saw Your Tweet, Are You Okay? Because it's really fun in my little humble opinion, and I'm very excited for you guys to listen to it. I love you. Stay safe. Eat your garlic, and kisses. XOXO, Nikki Nasty.